What's going on YouTube? Welcome to another episode of the Friday Vape Club. As always, your host Squidly Tris back for another review for you. Today we are looking at this. This is the Diabetes. Well, it's not actually called the Diabetes. I'm just calling it the Diabetes because this is the Type 2. This is a dual coil RTA made by Grimm Green. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive down, take a quick look around it, and then I'll chuck a build in it for you and show you how you build this thing because it's different. It is absolutely different. So stick around, watch this video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me if you haven't already subscribed. Do not forget to smash that like button for me and drop a comment down below. Let's get into this. Okay, so here we have a closer look at that Type 2 RTA. I'm just going to take that drip tip off for now so you guys can have a better look at it. So it is 25 millimeters in diameter. It is made of stainless steel. It does have a 4.5 e-liquid capacity in there, which is pretty bloody cool. You will fit a dual coil in this chimney section as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the quick specs. Let's take a quick look around this thing, shall we? Up the top here, you do have a 510 drip tip area. This does come with 2 drip tips. You get a Delrin and then you get another drip tip. I'll show you those when we get to the packaging. You do have some nice knurling around the top here. It looks almost like a record, and that theme is consistent inside the chimney and down here on the AFC. But to fill this up, you grab and you turn a quarter. It exposes some pretty massive fill ports. Look at those. You've got the little grooves. Very easy to line up. Very simple to get that nice seal going. You have your chimney section, which is a 2-piece chimney section. You got your glass, and then down the bottom here, this is your AFC. So you can see your airflow right there. You've got dual airflow. You've got these little airflow slots, this little sort of honeycomb style airflow, and it is very easy to adjust. Very nice indeed. This airflow makes very smooth and interesting airflow. And then underneath, you do have not the usual underneath bullshit. Oh well, it kind of is, but it's different. It's laid out very nicely. You got Type 2. You've got a serial. You've got the Grimm Green logo there, gold-plated 510 pin. Just looks cool. They've continued with that sort of theme and pattern of the record on the bottom. But that's the look around the outside. Let's crack this open, shall we? When you open this up, you can see it does come as 2 pieces. Now you want to keep this chimney section separate. But that's what it looks like. That's a look underneath in there as well. But this chimney section plays a very important part when you are wicking using that troll doll style wicking method. So we'll put that to one side when we chuck a build in this. This is your deck. So you've got your airflow slots down here. This is sort of your wicking ports. It's more of a dam style wicking method that you would use. You do have your massive big, look at these things. These are your posts. They are massive. Your coils are kept in place with grub screws. Now, these are 6.5 millimeter holes. And look at how big that is. Look at how massive those holes, those post holes are. So you've got huge amount of room to play with. Now, one thing I will show you is that when we put this chimney section on, you can see that you kind of are limited to space. So you're going to need to have the right type of coils to be installed in this device. So I think what we're going to do is let's take a look at the packaging, and then we'll chuck a build in it, shall we? Okay, here is a closer look at that packaging. Very simple packaging. Type 2 on the front there. You've got RTA by Grimm Green. You've got Type 2 on the back. Lots of branding, and then on the inside, this is what you get. So your Type 2 will be sitting here, and inside this packaging you do also receive. You get a 510 Delrin drip tip, and you get the 510 just give it a try drip tip. Now, I didn't think much of this drip tip when I first started using this RTA, and let me tell you, it is actually really nice to use. I found myself using this drip tip more often than any other drip tip that I have. It is a very nice and comfortable drip tip. I've got to say, it does look pretty ridiculous, but you do get used to it, and it is very appealing once you get the hang of it. You do get a spare glass section. You do get a spare chimney section. This is because this material is very thin. So be aware that you may just bend this if you tighten it down too much. So they give you a spare section. And you do get a bag of O-rings, spare grub screws, an Allen key, etc, etc. All right, and that was a quick look inside the packaging of the Type 2 RTA. Let's do a generic build video. Alright, before we get going, I've got to give a huge shout out to my man Mr. Coils. He's made some specific coils for me. These are Squids 26s. So they are an N80 3-wrap 26 gauge with a 36 outer, 2.5mm inner diameter. Would you just look at these absolute beauties? They are going to be perfect. It takes a little bit of time to sort of figure out where your coils are going to sit, but this is about roughly where you want them. See how there's a little bit of a gap between the bottom of the coil and the airflow, and it does sit just underneath the top of these posts. Perfect height right there. Okay, so now you've got your coils installed. What you want to do is take the ends, sort of pinch them up like this, and then you want to try and get this little chimney section over the top. And what you want to do is just kind of find the edges. Don't thin anything out just yet, but you want to cut them. Give yourself around about, I don't know, 7mm, something like that. Now this next bit here of how you actually get your wicks down inside goes against everything I have ever known about wicking. So what you want to do is you want to find your wicks. So you separate everything out like so, where they are in your coils, and you're literally going to stuff the end down inside here. And that's what she should look like when you're finished. It does not look pretty at all, but there you go. Right, now that that's done, we're going to give it a little bit reducing, not too much, and then you should get the vapors. Alright, so there we had a quick look around the Type 2. I have got a dual coil build in here. This is a build by Mystic Coils, one of my favourite Australian coil builders. I have got 60 watts on the dial. It is sitting on top of my TAC 21 because I love the look of this. I love the combination of these two little devices. They just look absolutely rad together. This is just a beater of a mod, a great little RTA on top. I have got that ridiculous just try it drip tip, and really you just have to try it. So yeah, let's take it for a vape, shall we? Now where this thing really shines is that long, slow. It's low and slow, mate. Low and slow. That's how you have to vape this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the pros and cons. Let's get into that, shall we? So a couple of pros for this device. It is absolutely amazing little flavor banger. Because it is such a low and slow draw, you just get some pretty interesting flavor. I've had elements of this liquid that I haven't tasted before using this RTA, so I'm very surprised about that. The airflow is so strange, and not strange in a bad way, strange in a good way. It's restrictive, but not too restrictive. It's just open but not open. It's just, yeah, it's such a different feeling. It's so hard to describe it. It is a restrictive lung hit, so you are, you're not breathing it into your mouth and then into your lungs. It's straight to the lungs, but it does have a nice restriction to it, and it is a very smooth airflow. It really has to be tried to be explained, and I'm not doing it justice on here. I understand that. It's just, you have to try it. There's no other way about it. And what will keep you coming back to this device is that airflow. It is such a unique airflow. I think you will love it. So another pro for this thing is just how amazing this looks. Look at that. It is just quality construction. I love this thing. I love the look of it. It does have this sort of knurling up the top and knurling down the bottom. It's just a well put together little device. Quality made, absolutely quality made. It is also very easy to build on. Now, I'm not a real huge fan of coils that share the same post. If you cut the coils at 3.5 millimeters using one of those coily tools, then you will get the perfect length for your coils. I don't usually use them. I just sort of, eyeball it. And that does come with its own issues. And the other reason I don't like coil legs sharing the same post is sometimes the post holes are not big enough to share those spaces. I'm happy to say that is not the case with the Type 2. You get a lot of space to fit those coil legs. They are going to be sandwiched together, but you've got massive grub screws that will allow you to do that. So installing coils, not an issue. Not an issue at all. So that's kind of the big hitter pros out of the way. Let's talk about the cons, shall we? So a couple of cons that I found when using this. Now, I had initially some 3mm coils in here from Breestones, and they do fit. However, you're pushing the limits. So you really want to be at that 2.5mm inner diameter for your coils. That is where you will get the perfect space, the perfect everything for it, and it's not going to run a little bit too hot, which is another issue that I found when I ran 3mm coils. It does get hot. And that's because I am really pushing the limits and boundaries of where those coils sit within that chamber/chimney section. It's not the biggest for putting coils in there, so just be aware of that and try and find some decent coils that are 2.5mm inner diameter, and you will be absolutely loving this device. Another little, and look, it's not a con, it's just something to be aware of. The wicking technique for this device is something that people aren't going to be used to. You have to use, or what was shown in Grimm Green's video is the troll doll method. I showed how to do that in the build video. It's not something I'm used to. It works very well. So you be aware of that. It is a wicking method that if you are not used to, it will take a little bit of time to kind of get familiar with it. It does feel like you're doing everything wrong, but it works. I don't know why it works. It just works. That's kind of it, really. And look, those two things are not massive cons in the whole scheme of things. So with the pros and cons out of the way, let's discuss the price for this thing. Price. So a little bit of Google fruit around the internet, and I found it on sale in the States for 75 bucks and around about $90 here in Australia, I think it was. I'm sure you can find it cheaper if you look online and you do a little bit of Google research. And with that price does come a level of quality control and customer service. If you have issues with this, I'm sure you could reach out and you will get shit sorted. That is one of the beautiful things about dealing with small businesses like that, where you have a direct link to the person who designed it and kind of the guys who manufacture it or are part of that manufacturing process. So if I had to give this thing a rating out of best device ever, worst device ever, nothing in between, just best or worst, I'm going to give it the best ever because I love it. I just am drawn to it. I'm not an RTA guy. I don't really like RTAs, but I find myself reaching for this over and over and over again, and I don't know why. So yeah, it's a great cracker of a little device. Absolutely love it. So that's all I've got for you guys today. I really hope you enjoy it. Like always, please like, please share, please subscribe. Remember YouTube, keep it cloudy.
A Gotta Slut production.